you, Jay. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start with a couple things that are sort of pre-presentation. Because I get the honor to be the closing talk, I just have to say a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank everybody at ILMEA, Emily in particular, a ton of work, great vision, and everybody at Elmhurst. I know how much work goes into trying to get this taken care of and launched and handled. So can we just all applaud all of them? That would be awesome. The other thing that really strikes me is how much similarity there is in even just this afternoon. I was not here this morning. I heard it was a very impactful morning. And even just listening to the three amazing people who were speaking ahead of me, I keep thinking, somehow we're all thinking about different versions of some of the same key issues. So I appreciate that, but I want to also highlight that because I think that's not accidental. I think it's a reflection of who we are as a profession, where we're going, the kinds of things we're thinking about. It's still absolutely important to go to Peoria and learn how to tune your band and your choir and your orchestra and do all of that. But having an opportunity like this, I think, is important. So again, excited to, I'm listening. I'm also sort of recrafting a couple things as I listen. Always kind of a danger, but I think will be great. This talk is really for you. Yes, it's going to cycle back to talk to how you apply some things to your students, but I think it's fitting at the end because this has been a big day. You've listened, you've wrestled with things. Some things have been heavy, right? So this is about you. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we cycle back to our students. Fair enough? Yeah? Okay. All right. So what is it we're talking about? We're talking about earth and sky. Two deeply embedded images in our experience. Embedded since we took our first breaths. The ideas, the images, the concepts, the metaphors, even the gravitational pull of earth and sky show up in our lives in interesting ways. They show up in our language. They show up in our sense of felt wellness, of being right with the world. They show up in our actions or our lack of action. And because our lives include our teaching and our conducting and our making of art, earth and sky really show up there. Earth is really that place where we spent our first year gaining our grounding, literally, because you were learning to walk. And the energy that you gain from connection into the earth made a huge impact on everything else in your life. As a matter of fact, even today, researchers are talking about something they call earthing or grounding, the power of walking barefoot, the power of being on your feet, connecting deeply with the earth. And I find some of this fascinating. I'll go ahead and read this. It might be a little tough to see. Emerging evidence shows that contact with the earth, whether being outside barefoot or indoors, connected to grounded, conductive systems, may be a simple, natural, and yet profoundly effective environmental strategy against chronic stress, ANS dysfunction, inflammation, pain, poor sleep, disturbed HRV, heart rate variability, hypercoagulable blood, and many common health disorders, including cardiovascular disease. The research done to date supports the concept that grounding or earthing the human body may be an essential element in the health equation, along with sunshine, clean air and water, nutritious food, and physical activity. So let's stay here for a second. Let's think a little bit about earth. He's well grounded, or we admonish ourselves or others for not standing on our own 2 feet. So think about this. These metaphors that we think are creative ways of speaking, but they're rooted in our physical experience. Sometimes we talk about someone who's a little earthy. Occasionally that might mean smelly, but you know what I'm saying. Earthy being just, really down to earth. So what is the importance here? Why all this talk about Earth? Why am I spending this time? Earth provides us physical stability, right? We know that. But it also provides us emotional, intellectual, and artistic stability. When we have a healthy sense of Earth, we have a confidence about us, we have a direction, a clarity, and a strength to move through life's challenges, even the large ones, even the critical ones, and sometimes the smaller challenges like just starting a new school year. With a healthy sense of Earth, we know who we are, we have direction, and we're less likely to be swayed by emotion, the emotion of the moment. We're less likely to worry and have fears and feel judged or feel a competition that we often feel even with ourselves. We're sturdy and we experience a sense of calm, often showing up in, and here's the yoga teacher, sorry, a longer, slower exhale, creating peace even in the midst of what is often a frenetic pace. And the voices, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have the voices, right? The texts, the emails, the people, the noise, our attention. So Earth can also have a downside. Sorry, that's a very bad pun. If taken to an extreme, too deep a sense of Earth can make us what the yogis would call tamasic. We experience inertia or we're stuck. We get stuck in our attitudes and our thinking and our ideas. We might avoid trying something new, and we might just be limited in our thinking. When we have too much in our system, we can be lethargic, even depressed, and professionally uninspired, and just plain stuck. Healthy sense of Earth, strong, centered, grounded, structured, even keeled, all of these positive characteristics that we feel. But Earth can also mean immovable, stubborn, lethargic, uninspired, stuck, tamasic. And these can show up, by the way, with a sense of dis-ease or actual physical symptoms. So, enter sky. Do you remember being a kid and laying on a hammock or on the beach or in newly cut grass, maybe not newly cut, maybe when it was really tall, and just laying on your back and looking up at the sky? I still do that, usually when I'm at the beach. That's actually one of my pictures, just kind of hanging out up in northern Michigan. And just watching that and just appreciating that. Sky is vast. It represents for us unlimited possibility and the sense that there's something larger than ourselves. Sky is air, wind, breeze. And a thesaurus tells us sky can be thought of as atmosphere or heavens. Depending on your spiritual bent, sky may also evoke a sense of God or the universe or spirit, capital S. Regardless, it's hard to look up at the sky and not feel some kind of inspiration. In fact, the Latin root for the word inspiration is spiritus. The images and experiences of breath and air and sky or prana or life force all are fueled by an awareness of an experience with sky. Sky encourages our growth, our sense of moving forward, and literally see our trees up. We see them reach toward sun, reach to the atmosphere. Even thinking about visualizing sky, as maybe you're doing, tends to change your posture, change your breathing pattern, change your tone of voice, give you a little bit different feeling. But it also can be off balance. If we have too much sky, our head can be in the clouds. We can be flighty. We can feel overwhelmed, grasping at all the possibilities that are out there. We can have trouble making decisions, take on too much. Anybody give me amen on that? We can suffer from FOBO. You know what FOBO is? BO? Fear of better options. Okay? We feel like we have to research everything there is out there before we finalize the program for the IMEC conference. Too much sky can leave us anxious and unfocused and erratic. So when we're in good place with sky, limitless, air-filled breath, inspiration. When sky is not working with us, we have uncorralled energy, flighty, erratic, unfocused, fear of better options. When we experience too strong a pull in one direction, when we reside too long in earth or sky, we feel off. And we keep reaching for something to bring us back to center. We're kind of on this mission. How will I feel whole? How will I feel whole for myself as a human, and then for the work I do? Understanding how to live and work between earth and sky allows for the best of both, and ultimately for something greater than either alone can bring us. To see ourselves whole and know how to adjust as we walk. So what are some practical applications? What does this mean? I would say first, know yourself. Do you tend toward earth? Do you tend towards sky? If it's a classroom, I might ask for a show of hands, but I'm thinking I'm good here. So, do you tend toward earth in one part of your life and sky in another? Know that your natural inclinations are not bad. Those characteristics you have been given precisely because you are needed. Great teacher, conductor, leaders stabilize those around them. They provide structure and clarity and strength and sturdiness. But great teacher leaders also catalyze themselves and others to move, to create, to reach for something that maybe they didn't think they could do. We've heard successes about that already today, right? So it's not about one or the other. It's just about understanding your balance and where you are on that continuum. So what happens if you have too much earth? Move. That's the best advice. Move regularly, physically, in your thinking and your ideas and your patterns and your habits to loosen the stuckness of your world. Surround yourself with people who move. And take a deeper inhale. Let's really deepen it, open the chest. It's going to fill you with energy in a way that you might not have. When you find yourself with too much sky, adopt slower, more meditative movement. Even a walk that's more meditative than competitive. Limit your options. Say no. Stop Googling for everybody's input. Surround yourself with people who are grounding. Extend your exhale. And these are really important things. Matter of fact, I teach these to my choirs. When we come in, we do our breathing exercises and all those kinds of things that we always do as choral directors. And then I say to them, if you need this, inhale more. If you need the other, exhale more. And I get out of their TV screen. You know what I mean by that? Like, here, you're the choir, right? And I'm over here. So they don't have to look at me. They don't have to perform for me. And I just watch. And I see every person going in and checking in and saying, oh God, all right. Or other people who maybe just got up before that rehearsal. And they're like, right? But by doing that, and I'm turning the corner now as we get to the closing here, you're serving yourself, you're figuring out what you need, but then you're helping teach your students. also. And again, a thread that we've heard today. We become the balancing agent with our students. So we have to look at our students and determine where they are. Do they need more earth or sky? Maybe one ensemble comes in and they need something very different from another ensemble. Or maybe one day it's different. Or maybe over a long period of time, it's a very heavy. Then you need to know that you can adjust your lesson plan, your pace. You can adjust the warm-ups. So if they're a frenetic group and they come in, you don't necessarily want to do that for a warm-up. I wouldn't go to the other extreme right away. Start where they're at and then move them toward balance. And when you have a sense of where you are on this continuum, you will be more balanced. And you'll be able to understand this and then see every one of your opportunities, we call them students, every one of your opportunities to create the same kind of shift and balance and wholeness for them as well. So even on a larger scale, earth and sky can manifest in shifts in programming, in standing or seating arrangements, in rehearsal plans, even concert attire, or clinician, or a new face. Ask yourself, what do my students need? Do they need more structure and stability? More earth? Or do they need new challenges, encouragement, new goals, more sky? So check in with yourself first. Be aware of that. Check in with your students and know that you can go a long way to shifting them and helping them feel balance and helping them feel wholeness. It is a both-and world. We know that. Being able to have earth and sky coexist in perfect ways on a continuum is really the goal. Find your place on that continuum and adjust, and help your students to do the same. The wisdom of earth and sky is really only fully understood when we see life, our work, and ourselves as something more than the obvious. When we take time away from our devices and the voices and go to nature to help remember who we already are. And then to bring that wisdom back to our work and to ourselves for a better sense of wholeness, a sense willing to shift with grace between earth and sky for a greater good. So I'm going to take a little risk here. I'm going to ask you as we close this session if you would stand, if you are able. And I want you to maybe experience a little earth and sky in your bodies. So go ahead and spread out a little bit. You've been sitting for a long time. It's probably a good thing. I know when I put the yoga credits in my bio that there's two reactions. One is like, oh, cool. Yeah, I practice every week. The other one's like, will she know if I leave now? Like hippy-dippy, right? Yeah. So I get it. But the longer I teach, the more I see it all coming together. I see teaching and conducting and leading and health and wholeness and spirituality and all of this stuff being one thing. Thank goodness. It's too hard to keep track of when they're all different, okay? So let's start by getting some grounding. We're going to feel earth, okay? So I know we have shoes on. It's not as cool as when you have bare feet. Oh, a few of you do. So go ahead and just point your toes forward, feet parallel. Isn't it funny how we have to look at those? My students do that too. They say, point your toe. Oh, I have toes. Oh, which direction do they go? So toes are forward, okay? As if you were barefoot, take your big toe ball mound, your little toe, right, and the two back corners of your heels, and just try to grab the earth. So you might want to lift them in your shoes. I've got shoes on too. I'm kind of wiggling my toe. And then I'm going to kind of just try to bring them down into the earth, like I'm going to grab the earth or grab the bottom of your shoe. Shift your weight to the front part of your heel, where the heel meets the arch. Okay? We often, and by the way, in Coral Land, say to come all the way to the balls of the feet. Those bones are pretty tender. So stay at the front part of the heel where the heel meets the arch. Okay? And take your hands and just reach down. Now, I will call every one of you out who's doing this, because I can see that, right? So you have to just like like it's a Marvel comic or something, and you're just energizing down, right? Keep a little bend in your knee so that you're not locking. Just stand tall. All right. So take for a moment this sense of sturdiness. Be aware of those times in your life when you just don't feel it. Something going on in your life, something going on in the world. Get your grounding. Get your physical grounding. Always build from the floor up, from the bottom up. Soften your gaze just a little bit. You don't have to look at me. Just imprint this strength, this security in your body. And now take your arms, reach them up if you can. If this is bad for your shoulders, it's fine. You can look ahead, you can look up. But take that same energy you just had. Now your feet are still really strongly grounded. Your quads are engaged. You feel the earth. You know it's going to be okay. Your arms are reaching up for possibility, for inspiration. You're breathing really deeply. Get the fingers activated. Reach them, reach them. And bring your hands together. Bring them down to your heart center. And those of you who have taken a yoga class at some point know we say this word namaste. And most time people don't really know what that is. I didn't either until one of my teachers translated it. The light in me salutes and celebrates the light in you. Namaste.